Hello guys, I'm Dita Putri Budianti and today I will tell you guys about David Ricardo's classical economic liberalism. Well, first off, I'll tell you about his early life and his education. David Ricardo was born in London, England on April 19, 1772 and he died on September 11, 1823. He's an English economist who in the 19th century gave economics a systemized classical form. Ricardo was the third son to a family of Sephardic Jews who had emigrated from the Netherlands to England, and at the age of 14, David Ricardo started working as a stockbroker with his father. By the time he was 21, his father had disowned him since he married someone who has a different religion as him. And at the age of 41, he retired after making an estimated £1 million by making bets on the outcome of the Battle of Waterloo. Now let's move on to David Ricardo's contribution to the economic history. The Scottish philosopher and economist Adam Smith's book called An Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations that was published in 1776, which Ricardo read in 1799, caught his interest in economic issues. He spent 10 years learning about economics. At first, it was a little aimlessly and then more intently. His first piece of writing to be published was The High Price of Bullion, a proof of the depreciation of banknotes in 1810. Which created from letters Ricardo had published in the Morning Chronicle the year before. His book reignited the debate that exists at the time regarding the Bank of England because both the Bank of England and the rural banks had increased their note issuance and lending volumes after being released from the need for cash payments. It was the strains from the wars with France forced the government to forbid the Bank of England from paying its notes in gold. The Bank of England's board insisted that there was no connection between the rise in bank credit and the ensuing price rise and pound depreciation. However, Ricardo and others argued that there was a correlation between the amount of banknotes in circulation and the level of prices. Additionally, they contended that changes in price levels had an impact on gold imports and exports as well as foreign currency rates. At this time, Ricardo started to make friends who had an impact on his continued intellectual growth. One of them was James Mill, an economist and the father of the economic philosopher John Stuart Mill, who served as his advisor on editorial and political matters. And then there is Jeremy Bentham, an utilitarian philosopher, and then there is Thomas Malthus, who is well known for his theory that the population tends to grow at a quicker rate than the amount of food available, which Ricardo embraced this theory. In 1815, another controversy arose over the court laws which regulated the import and export of grain. Parliament has increased the import wheat tariff as a result of a drop in wheat prices. Ricardo responded to the public outcry by publishing his essay on the influence of a low price of corn on the profits of stock in 1815, in which he made the case that raising the tariff on grain imports tended to increase the rents of country gentlemen while lowering the profits of manufacturers. He developed the comparative advantage theory in response to the court laws, which suggested that nations can gain from international trade by specializing in manufacturing of items for which they have a comparatively lower opportunity cost in production, even if they do not have an absolute advantage in the production of any given good. Later, in his book Principles of Political Economy and Taxation in 1817, Ricardo examined the rules governing the allocation of everything that could be generated by three classes of community, that are the landowners, the laborers, and the capital owners. He came to the conclusion that profits fluctuate inversely with salaries, which increase or decrease in accordance with the cost of requirements as part of this theory of distribution. In addition, Ricardo found that rent tended to rise with population growth due to the greater cost associated with producing more food to feed a growing population. Though he assumed there was no propensity for unemployment, he was still wary of population expansion that was too quick, as this could cause wages to fall below subsistence levels, which would reduce profits and capital development by widening the margin of agriculture. He also came to the conclusion that differences in internal price structures and relative production costs, which may maximize the comparative advantages of the trading countries, had an impact on international trade. Although David Ricardo partially based on Smith's idea, he defined economics more narrowly and contained a more social philosophy. As was customary at the time, Ricardo paid for a seat in the House of Commons in 1819 and was elected to represent Port Tallington in Parliament. Ricardo had to leave the House of Commons in 1823 due to illness, and at the age of 51, he passed away. So, in conclusion, we know that David Ricardo has a slight differences from Adam Smith's liberal thinking, where Ricardo is more in-depth in explaining the economy and also involves social aspects in it. As we know, Ricardo created several theories such as the labor theory of value, theory of rents, and comparative advantage theory. However, to understand the classical liberalism thought that he developed, it can be easier if we understand the comparative advantage theory. The theory states that countries can gain from international trade by specializing in the production of goods in which they have a relative advantage, meaning they can produce goods more efficiently or at a lower cost than other countries. This theory has been an important aspect of the liberal agenda for many years, as it argues in favor of free trade and international cooperation. Liberalism holds that free markets and individual freedoms are the best way to promote social progress and economic prosperity. And the theory of comparative advantage fits well with this view. By promoting the exchange of goods and services across borders, a comparative advantage can lead to increased prosperity for all involved parties, even when some countries have an absolute advantage in producing certain goods. Overall, the theory of comparative advantage and liberalism are deeply intertwined, with both emphasizing the importance of free markets, individual liberties, and international cooperation. So that was all about David Ricardo's classical economic liberalism. I hope this video will help you guys understand David Ricardo's contribution to the liberalism world. And thank you for watching and see ya!